This episode of the Polyhedron Collider Cast is sponsored by Kienda. Go to www.kienda.co.uk/Polyhedron Collider for a discount off your first order. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Polyhedron Collider Cast, episode 172. I'm Steve Tudor.
I'm Andy Lewis.
I'm Sid Gill.
And I'm Rory Summers. How you doing, boys? We've been busy recently, haven't we?
We've
done a lot on. We've done a lot of miles in the PHC wagon.
A lot, but it feels like we only...
We have actually, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose you have. Yeah, it feels like we've been having these episodes more frequently. But it has been 3 weeks since our last recording point.
No, it's only been 2.
That's why it feels more recent, because it is.
But also, you two recorded some extra bonus content, did you not?
Yeah.
Well, we tried. You haven't heard it yet.
No, true, I haven't. I've downloaded it, I haven't heard it yet, you're right. I've got to edit it, I've got that fun to look forward to.
You do.
47 minutes of content for 5 useful minutes of actual production.
That's quite generous, mate.
We call it Ramshackle for a reason, don't we?
So, what we've been planning in the background is a kind of second show on the podcast. It's all been a bit unsure how to do it, but we realised that there's several things we want to talk about on Polyhedron Collider, but the main show now has quite a tight setup. It's, we've got a set way in which we do things, and try and add things into the mix will just cause change and confusion, and we can't handle change.
We cannot.
We fear change.
Audacity changes its menu, because Audacity we use to record our files. If something changes on that, it's like half an hour of us discussing how we fix this and get it back to how it was beforehand. So that's what we're like. So what we're going to do is we're going to start putting out a second show. It'll be on the same feed as this, so you don't have to do anything, and it's going to be called #Ramshackle. And it is basically everything else that doesn't fit into the normal Polyhedron Collider format. So the plan is to have some complete off-topic discussions, like discussions about TV programs, films, books, any geek-adjacent stuff. We're going to probably do some listicles or kind of sub-genre things of games, like you guys have talked about kids' games on one we've recorded already, and we're going to get guests. So lots of people want to come on to Polyhedron Collider. I don't know why. I don't think they know what they're letting themselves in for.
They'll only come on once.
True. So sometime in the next few weeks, there's no set order, there's no set day of the month or anything like that. They'll just, when they're ready, I'll put them out, but I'll also always put them out on a Sunday, just like the normal podcast, and they won't come out the same week as the normal podcast. Other than that, just watch this space, and any feedback appreciated. Of course, feedback in usual places, all the social medias, and of course our Discord server, which there's linked to in the show notes.
Do you know what I think would be brilliant is if we open up potential topics to discuss on Ramshackle to our Discord group.
Oh, God.
Let them suggest some things that we can talk about.
Are you basically suggesting crowdsourcing our work for us?
But if you want to phrase it that way, yes.
I mean, I'm up for laziness, mate. I mean, fair play. I mean, it's efficiency as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So, dear listener, please help us do our homework for us.
Yeah.
And suggest some topics for us to basically have no idea what we're talking about and make stuff up for you.
I suppose we're going to do a listicle.
Same with the normal podcast.
Well, exactly. That's what I mean. I mean, unless you're Rory, who will have done a research paper on the damn thing before we start and make the rest of us look really shit.
Well, I do a little bit. I do a lot through ChatGPT, to be honest. But
it's all coming out now, isn't it?
It is. yeah. I don't have a clipboard at all. I have ChatGPT. But no, if you want to do that, if we want to do a listicle, let's have our Discord members, suggest our first listicle.
That's a good idea.
That's a very good idea.
I know I've said it now, so that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's out there. It's in the world.
Yeah. Talking of our Discord server, and I hadn't planned this segue, but it's worked quite nicely. Some of our members from Discord, Ian in particular, from the Newport Pagnell Gaming Club, invited us down for their gaming bonanza earlier this month, and I was able to pop down. I had a nightmare. I was
I mean, that's not a good way to start talking about a gaming club you visited, mate.
I had a great time. They were so friendly, they were so fun, and I wish I could have stayed longer and played more games with more people because they had some brilliant games there. They had just loads of stuff that I wanted to play loads of stuff. But I really needed a coffee on my way there, and I found the slowest coffee shop in England on my walk between the car, and I was like, all right, 5 minutes away. I've got time to stop and get a to-go coffee. I stood there for 10 minutes. She took my order, and then after I paid, she was like, it is a bit of a wait for the coffees. I was like, you're a coffee shop. Why is there a bit of a wait for a coffee? 10 minutes later, I just walked out, and I was like, stuff it. I'm not even going to bother asking for a refund, because how long that's going to take, I don't know. But I was not happy. But Newport Pagnell Gaming Club is absolutely brilliant. So if you're in or around the Milton Keynes area, I would definitely find these guys out and join in. I had a great time playing a game, and I didn't nearly flip the table. I got very angry at one point. I got very angry.
What game were you playing?
Stress.
Angry, he's blocked it from his mind.
Stress Botics. There was this one point where I was like, "Grr!" and actually just threw my cards down on the table. And I think it was Paul who was sat next to me just went, oh, Rory's going to flip the table.
Your reputation precedes you, mate.
Yeah. The game caused emotions. I won, but it caused emotions. And I can't wait for some of you guys to try it. Possibly Andy at AirCon. That's coming up soon.
Next week, in fact. It's this weekend, in fact, as we record it.
Yeah, all right.
Oh, so it'll be AirCon as this episode comes out.
AirCon Northwest, yes, it's the Manchester
Northwest.
one.
So if you're able to meet up with Ian and play Stress Botics.
Stress-botics, okay.
Stress Botics. It's the photos, I think Steve called it out as being this game looks like an Andy game. I think you will have emotions playing this game, Andy.
I'm an emotionless robot, though. You should know that. According to Alora. But okay, challenge accepted. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. But I'm not the only one that's been driving all over the place, going and playing games and meeting people.
Me and Sid went to PeachCon yesterday, in fact.
Oh, we did.
So this is Peachy as of Peachy Tips. So X Games Workshop army painter who's got his own channel on YouTube, and he's on the Jugs podcast. And he had his little con in Derby, or just outside. Is it a weird name? I mean, this is
Spondon.
This is the episode of proper English village names, isn't it? Newport Pagnell and Spondon.
Yeah.
If you put these into like a fantasy novel, people would say these are unrealistic place names.
You're absolutely right. They would actually.
They're genuine places. We've been there.
Yeah, we did. We went to Spondon.
I got a teaspoon with I Love Spondon on it.
You're having a giraffe. You did.
Yeah, I'm taking a piss. But that's the kind of thing you get in these little villages, mate. It's like a little shitty teaspoon, little decorative teaspoon with the name of the village and love on it, isn't it? I mean, come on.
Spondon sounds like a part of a steam engine. You know, the Spondon. It sounds like it's something that belongs in the guts of something that rotates. That's what it sounds like.
It's engineering, mate. We just make up words that sound fun.
I know it. Jesus Christ.
Right. So how was your trip to Spondon and PeachCon?
That was really good. It was really good, but it cost me a lot of money.
Why did it cost you?
Because I had Mrs. Gill with me, and she's got a problem.
Other than you.
She sees minis, she has to buy them.
That problem.
Yes, that problem. And this time, she has fallen in love a lot previously with Rascal Town Miniatures by Louise Sugden, or Suggs, also on the Jugs podcast. So it's very Jugs podcast heavy this week. And she found her latest Ramshackle model, which is our own range of minis, is a Scottish Highland cow with a kilt on, that rides a sheep. Right? And it's freaking awesome little model. I'm going to admit it. And
I'm struggling to picture that, I'll be honest with you.
I was like,
your imagination will not do it justice.
You will not do it justice. This thing is absolutely amazing, right? It is. It's a multi-functional model, right? You can set up in different ways. So it can either be standing up with a kilt on and this big, I don't know what it is, like stick thing.
It's like a sheep's crook.
Yeah, shepherd's crook thing. Right? It can either be standing up like that on his feet on the ground, Or you can remove his top half and put it on top of another base, which is a sheep, and he's riding the sheep. It's wicked, man, honestly.
It comes with the magnets as well.
It does.
Well, that's good.
It's magnetised.
Right,
Yeah.
hang
it
on.
does.
What am I going to Google in incognito mode to...
Rascal Town,
Rascal
Goblins, Highland Coup.
Highland Coup. It's honestly, mate, it's freaking awesome.
Highland Cow.
So the other things that were there was Warlord games were there. There had loads of stuff. There was loads of people selling. Osprey weren't there, but the people who do the miniatures for
Frostgrave.
Osprey, yeah, North Star miniatures doing Frostgrave were there. I think it's Pete the Wargamer was selling his little animal dead bit sprues. A couple of random stands. There was a chap showing off War Machine.
Yes.
Which I quite liked. I had a bit of a look at because I've still got a load of old War Machine in the box. I also played a demo game with Necromunda.
This explains your comment yesterday, Mr. Tudor, about dying to play a small skirmish game, of which you own at least 2, I'm fairly sure, already.
I own at least 5, probably.
There
at this
you
point.
go.
Just none of them are in a position they can be played. So yeah, this it was a very quick demo game where we played like a 3-way game against like 3 gangs, and you had to kill this like pet. I say pet. It was like this escaped zoo creature. You had to take it back and analyze it. It was quite bizarre because although the system's cool, it still suffered from what I call old 40K-ism, where everything is down to single D6 dice rolls. So it's like, my gun. Here we go. Right, here's my Gango. She's got a bolt gun. Is she going to hit? Yes, she's hit. Is she going to wound? No. Right, that's my turn over with. Okay, there we go. But I get the impression once you got into this, you could play games really quick. And I mean quick.
I mean, you played that demo game in about an hour, not even.
It wasn't even an hour, no. And that was the guy teaching us the rules as we went.
Yeah.
And that element of, people not knowing what they're doing. So, what can I do with my turn? Well, you got 2 actions, you can do blah, blah, blah. Whereas I think if you knew what you're doing in that game, you could knock out a quick game of that in half an hour, probably.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it's got some really nice mechanics, like the bottle mechanic that just help the game move at pace.
Yeah, there was this really cool idea. Once somebody had died, you had to do like a cool check for the entire squad. And if you passed, you're fine. And basically, you rolled the dice, and the basis, you added the number of people that had died to that dice roll. So, of course, the more people had died, the quicker it was going to happen. But once that happened, every time, every round, your troops were allowed to take a cool check. And if they lost a cool check, they just scarpered. So there's an element where the game just it goes really quick because half your troops have ran off the board.
Nice.
So, yeah.
That reminds me of the Death Company in 40k second edition. So they were brilliant. They were just basically just a bunch of psychos. But the problem is because they were psychos, they had to be within sort of shouting distance of each other. So if you broke rank and like one of them died, and so they were outside of, I think it was 4 inches each, they basically just lost their cool and just went on a rampage. You had absolutely no control over them. They just hacked the nearest thing to pieces, be it a gene stealer or your Terminator brother. No, I'm having a go. Just go. They just ran off, and that was it. You're like, no, half my army's now just having a laugh.
Well, it was that. It felt like that kind of old 40k vibe to a lot of it. Random. Is your gun going to jam when you fire it? Who knows?
Almost certainly.
Are you then going to spend the rest of the round trying to unjam a bolt gun so you can fire the damn thing again?
You'd think it being in the future, they'd be less prone to jamming, wouldn't you?
Well, this is Necromunda. They're all supposed to be salvage weapons, you see. So they're all supposed to be made from
That makes
bits
sense.
and bobs.
But it still happened in things like Space Hulk and the old 40k. There was still the jam, especially in Space Hulk. This was, proper Imperium high-end technology. And no, it looks like it's been robbed from a scrapyard.
But anyway, we saw some cool things, lots of cool miniatures. There was a painting competition, which we didn't stay for the results of, but there was lots of really good entries in it. But yeah, really good day out.
Nice one.
Yeah, very, very good day out. Really enjoyed it.
Shall we dive in and start talking about some of the board games we've been playing then, gents?
Why not?
Good, solid idea.
What would you like to start with, gents?
Let's do it in alphabetical order.
Ooh.
Well, we were talking about war games, so why not talk about something that involves a bit of scrapping?
That's also in alphabetical order.
Alphabetical order.
Everybody's happy.
Q alphabet, pick it right in the I don't care. I was trying to make a sexy segue, and you just went, no, we're going to be all nerdy and get alphabetical. I don't care.
But it's the same game.
Shut up.
That you start
I
with.
don't care.
No, children.
We've got a
I've played
solid
this.
reason for doing it in our usual style, rather than the librarian over
Mr.
here.
Lewis, why don't you describe Altay to us?
No, I don't want to anymore.
Are you taking your ball and going home?
I am. My ball's bust and going out. Fine. Altay. This is from Ares Games. And I think most, if not all of us, played it at Expo, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
That's
I have
terribly,
not.
that's completely
I am
mistaken.
rubbish.
No
I'm
one else
very
played
mistaken.
it at Expo.
It was just me.
You were the only person to play
You
at Expo. Yeah.
lousy lot, honestly.
I was playing a Turner at Expo on the same stand.
I played that as well, honestly. Honestly. Amateurs. Anyway, right. Altay from Ares Games is primarily a deck builder, but it has a little bit of area control and other things besides. So a little bit of conquests. It is an aggressively tight game, actually. The board is quite small. And the idea is that you are running a civilization, although I have to say the theme is loose at best. I'm not going to lie. And you have a deck of cards which represent your sort of villagers, townsfolk. So you've got sort of warriors, you've got stone cutters, you've got hunters and things like that, who curiously seem to hunt apples. Must be a very exciting story.
Vicious apples.
Exactly, yes. Apples that fight back. And the game is very, very simple. You've got a hand of 5 cards, and on your turn, you will play all 5 cards. You can resolve them in any order you like, and a lot of the cards will have a sort of an either and or. So you can either, say, produce 1 apple, or you can utilise one of the areas you control on the map to produce, say, 2 apples, if you control a sort of an appropriate area. Or you can store a resource on a card for use later, because at the end of your turn, it's a very simple mechanic of use it or lose it. If you produce it and you can't use it on your turn, unless you've got a card that allows you to store it, which are fairly few and far between, it's gone, you can't do anything with it, and the next player kicks it off. You have the flexibility of resolving your cards in any order you like, so you can sort of store up the resources, spend them on something, and then do something else with it, or invade someone, get a resource potentially if you win the fight, and then use that resource to do something else. So it's entirely up to you how you resolve it, but it's very straightforward. Play all 5 cards, do 5 things potentially. Next player, draw up your next 5 cards, and off you go. So it's fairly straightforward, but the number of ways you can use your things is, I suppose, the clever thing, because you can buy extra villagers for the resources. You can start work on inventions, so they're basically larger cards that will give you an ongoing ability for the rest of the game. So it might give you an instant bonus, it might give you an ongoing ability, it might allow you to do something at the end of each turn, for example. But they generally require a lot more resources to create, so you've got to save up for a little while and start contributing over time. And I think the game flows really quite well. Because of its simplicity, it's very straightforward to play.
One thing that's worth mentioning as well, one of the key mechanics of the game is combat.
Yes.
So what you have to do is you have to invade neighbouring territories on the map, which is basically, if you're the first person there, it's basically clear some defence. If there's another person there, you need to clear their buildings. And to do that, you'll play cards which have a strength bonus, and that strength bonus is added to by the amount of buildings you have in the zone you're attacking from.
Yes.
So, of course, the more buildings you have, the easier it is to attack. Where this gets interesting is when you attack someone else, because they can commit cards to the defence, and you don't know how many cards they've got.
Yes, there's a very good chance it could all go south very, very quickly.
The last game I played, every time I attacked Rory, it went beyond the equator south. We're heading towards the Antarctic at speed, because every time I attacked him, I thought, oh no, he's got rid of all his combat cards now. I'm sure I'm going to do. And he pulls out like this amazing combat card. And
Had Rory invested in quite a lot of cavalry by chance?
It's in hindsight, I realise that yes, he has.
Yes. Yeah, they're quite good.
That's a fascinating thing, and you get points for that because you don't just destroy a village, you capture a village, which that gives you points at the end of the game. You get points at the end of the game for area control, which is having lots of bits on the map, and you get points for buying certain cards and building these technologies that you're on about as well. So there's a few ways in which you can win, and as you said, Andy, it gets tight quick.
Yes, yes, it does.
So you're knocking up against each other pretty damn sharpish.
Yes.
Now, one question, Andy, when you played, did you try the promo cards?
No, I haven't actually.
Right.
No.
So we haven't tried this, and I really want to, but at the same time, I don't want to because it's not standard with the game. But we got sent a review copy of this by Ares. They provided it to us, and it also came with a promo pack. And usually when you get promo cards, they usually, they had a bit of flavour or something unusual, This adds a completely new mechanic, which is shipbuilders, which allow you to evade across the water. Because basically the map has these 2 lakes with an island in the middle. And a standard game, they just restrict where you can go. You can't move across the lake. But this additional pack of cards allows you to build boats, which allows you to build and attack across the water. And I'm fascinated to know how well that works, because I think that's going to drastically change that game even more.
I would agree with you, because the way the board's set up originally, there's basically 3 pinch points, 1 at each side and 1 in the middle, and you've only got those ways to get around the boards, which makes it extremely tight. So having the flexibility of going across the water essentially makes you adjacent to about 4 or 5 different areas at the same time, which means it's more of a free-for-all, I guess.
We found in a 4-player game that if I'm in one, the bottom right corner, I'm actually going to have no contact with the person in the top left.
Exactly the same
because
for us.
for me to do that, I've got to go through another player.
And
so in one way it's evens, but it does mean that actually if that person in the top left is winning, or they're doing something really well, there's nothing I can do about it because they're too far away.
Also, did you play with the optional rule?
The trading one.
Yeah, so an optional rule in the rulebook, which we did play with, was if you didn't spend your resources by the end of the game, you convert them into gold, and at any point you can spend 5 gold to get you any one resource.
Yeah.
So we did that, but I must admit it didn't make a massive difference. People weren't buying resources often.
Because I gave the option to the players I was with, and they all elected no, they didn't want to. Then, of course, halfway through the game, I'm like, maybe we should have done that because it would have given them flexibility. But you're saying it doesn't actually have that much effect.
I think it helps in the beginning of the game. Particularly if you get a hand of cards, because it's a deck builder, you draw 5 cards. If you've got 5 cards that produce you stuff, but no cards that you can actually spend that stuff on, you've basically wasted a turn. As the game progresses and you start buying more cards that will allow you to make either more stuff or actually build stuff, the ability to spend stuff gets easier. So I think early on, it's quite useful to go, I'll get a coin, and you can just slowly add to that.
You're not buying stuff every round. You're buying like 2 or 3 times in the entire game. I think I bought some resources with that.
Yeah, because you'd need to not spend 5 resources to get 1 resource back. So it's a pretty crappy exchange rate, really.
It is, but when you get a hand of cards, which is 3 apples and 2 attack cards, and you go, well, I've got no one to attack, and I don't need 3 apples. I've got nothing to do with them. So you just go, I'll just get 3 coins.
Yeah, I'd imagine that gives you something to do.
And that's what it's good in the early game, but if you're still using coins, towards the end of the game, then you're doing something really wrong. But I quite like the way this game escalates and how it speeds up, because the game ends as soon as a player places their last tribe, their last building out on the board. And that can happen, I found, because I think every game I've played, I've forced the end. It happens quite quickly. There's massive difference between me putting my last building out and Steve, who's still got like 6 left. And I thought that was really interesting how the players can control the pace of it, and you need to watch that.
Yes, yeah, very much so. We had a similar case. I think the winner of the game, actually, they won by a country mile in a 4-player. They sort of ended the game, and I potentially had something like 5 structures left, but I managed to pull out 4 of them in 1 turn, which was quite good. But you can accelerate the game quite quickly, as you say, Rory.
It can
so it's quite
shift
good.
very quickly, yeah.
Yeah, especially towards the end, as you say, because you're playing cards that allow you to build things quickly. And it doesn't really matter whether you build a city or a village. As long as you can put a structure down, that's potentially a point, because it's points per area, not number of structures per area, which is quite good. So it kind of encourages you to expand across the map. But of course, the more you expand, the weaker you are, because you've only got 1 village potentially instead of potentially up to 4. Yeah, so you're a lot easier. It's a lot easier for people to take you out. So it's an interesting balance, actually. There's quite a lot of ways to play.
I will say this is a deck builder in the vein of something like Dominion, where the market of cards that you can, the cards that you can buy, you can see all of them at the very beginning of the game. So you don't have to have that pre-knowledge of what's good. You don't need to build any synergies really per se. You can just see everything. But on the other hand, I think that might be a little bit of a downfall of this game, is there isn't a huge variety in those cards.
Well, there's no real variety, which I think is this game's biggest weakness. You talk about Dominion as an example.
Yeah.
Like Dominion comes with, 20 different cards in the base box, maybe even more when you use 8 in each game. So each game of Dominion is different. And to be fair, let's point this out first. I really do like Altay. I think it's a really neat design. It manages to get a deck builder, an area control game, and a little bit of a tech tree style bit of 4X in there as well. Because the tech thing does work really well.
Yes.
And it managed to do that in a game which plays in about an hour. And it's, I think, really accomplishes it. But my issue is, I think I've played this 3 times now. I think 4 or 5, 2 more games, and I'll be thinking to myself, well, where's the variety? Because it's the same map every time.
Yeah.
It's the same cards in your deck builder every time. So there's definitely an element of there's nothing to discover between games. Once you know what you're doing, it's all to do with what the other players are doing. It's going to be it's head-to-head game as opposed to things in the game changing which you have to adapt to. And I think it's begging for either an expand alone which has like a second map and a second bunch of cards, or some kind of expansion which just takes it to that next level.
Just adds either a bigger board or another set of cards, with maybe 4, 5 or 6 additional things that you could buy. Yeah. Totally.
Or maybe just a slightly different alternative board, because one of the other things as well is the board doesn't scale naturally. What it does is it says you have to block off these regions when you're playing. So it's the same board whether you're playing 2-player or 4-player.
But it doesn't give you a methodology for doing that, so it's quite easy to forget.
Yes.
I'm going here. You're not allowed to go there, Andy.
Yes. I just find if we put like coins or something, just a token on there, But you're right. There's nothing to prevent you from doing that.
I also have another issue with the board. In fact, I have quite a few minor gripes with this game. I like Steve. I do like it. I think it's quite clever and it is quite fun. Although it would probably depend on the type of player you're playing with. Now, I played with some players who don't mind the aggression and will take the piss out of each other. But I think if there are players who don't like being picked on or don't like being attacked that much, they're not going to have a good time. So this is very much a game that you need to be accepting the fact that someone's going to duff you up.
I mean, we're saying this is a deck build and area control game. This is a war game. This is like, it's like you can mistake Root. Root's got these cute little meeples. No, it's a war game.
But it's properly
You've got
aggressive.
to attack.
Yeah.
You've got to be aggressive in this game.
It's true. It's very true. But I think...
However, I will quickly point out, the last game we played, someone won by just doing technology.
Yeah.
The winner of our game did that as well.
Yeah.
They doubled our score. Literally. Yeah. 3 of us were sat at around about 17, 18, 19 points. The winner got 29.
Wow.
Yeah. There's a big difference, and they just built loads and loads of tech. They did about 3 or 4 or 5 engineering cards, so there's a big advantage there to getting that right. But there are a few issues I have with the game. They're minor gripes rather than game breakers. But one of them is if you're colourblind, you're going to struggle with the board. I really struggled with it because whilst the artwork is actually kind of fun, it's an interesting whimsical style. The choices of colours of the 4 different types of areas on the map, because you've got farmland, forest, mines and mountains. Other than the mountains, the other 3 are various shades of greenish brown, and they're quite hard to tell apart. So I think some kind of actual demarcation of the areas would have been quite useful, because there is none. And it's really quite hard to tell, especially the forest and the farmlands, where one starts and the other one finishes. Now, that sounds like a fairly minor complaint, but it's quite important because there's one area on the map that makes a really big difference to someone's strategy. If the bottom left, there's a mountain that goes into a forest and there's potentially a farmland below it. The problem is some world-class intellect decided to draw trees on the farmlands as well as the forests. So that means it's really hard, it's impossible to tell whether the mountains in this part of the board are adjacent to only the forest or the forest and the farmland, because the farmland has some trees on it, and you're like, do the farmland have the trees on the bottom left, are they part of the farmland or are they just part of the forest? Which means you can have there's 2 different potential ways of attacking, and we had a big discussion about this, so we decided no, but I think the artwork could do with some improvement on that, or some demarcation would completely clear it up with no problem at all. I will also say the rulebook is a little scant at times in terms of significant description, because some of the card abilities aren't particularly well explained. Again, none of them are deal breakers. You can kind of work it out if you think you're taking into the spirit of the game. But I think a little bit of clearing up could have done it a little bit better.
I just found the setup difficult. I don't know what it was about the setup in that rulebook.
It does seem faffy, because you put a load of tokens out and then he says, "Nah, take them off again." What?
Yeah, but there's that. And then if you're playing with less than 4 players, it's like, well, you need to take X many cards out of this deck, this deck, this deck, and this deck. But with the technology deck, you need to separate all the technologies first. Now you put 3 of each technology in, or one per player in. It's like, right, I just want to play this 4-player from now on.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. Yeah, I agree. Rather than saying, well, once you've got down to like 2 cards rather than 6, then you just stop. Then there's no one left. That's the easier way of doing it. But I agree. It is almost as much faff to set it up as it is to play.
I do think I really enjoyed this game. I do think this is a really good game for people that are just getting into war games or just getting into deck builders, because I think because it's all open information about what you're going to build and what you can potentially add to your deck, and because the war game element is so slick, the fighting mechanism is so quick and easy. It's deterministic who's got the highest, and then it's a bit of push. I say push a lot. It's a bit of a gamble about what card you've got compared to your opponent. I think, because it's so quick, it crams an awful lot of mechanisms and ideas into a very quick, very accessible, very easy to teach game. I think it's great at that entry level, but it's so good when you're more established to go back to it and revisit it, because it is so quick to just revisit this. I think if we didn't play this for a year and came back to it, as soon as we got it on the table, like, I get it, I remember it all now. It's easy.
Yeah, it's good. It's clever.
That was a really good little game, personally.
Yeah,
so that's
nice
Altay. Altay, Dawn of Civilization from Ares Games. Thank you very much to them for sending us a copy for a review.
So let's move on to something completely different. I mean, there's no way you can segue this. I mean, I'm challenging you now. We've also played a bit of Ponzi Scheme lately.
It's pretty aggressive.
Bright-eyed Games, which is aggressive, yes.
So that is an understatement. That is an understatement.
So this is by Bright-eyed Games. Again, Bright-eyed Games sent us a copy to review. This is actually a remake of an older game from, I think, did we work out 2005?
Yes. 15.
2015, which I was quite surprised how new it was, because this feels like a really old game. This feels like it should have come out in like the 70s or the 80s, the original, but...
That's just because the boy on the box has got a dodgy porn star on Jeremy Tash. That's the only reason you're saying that.
No, because it's got paper money in, and like no one likes paper money anymore, so you don't tend to get many games in.
That was only 5 years ago that COVID happened and took money away. That's not that long ago.
No, I was cashless before then, Sid.
Yeah, me too.
You're living in the future, mate.
Thing is, though, Steve's right. In board games, paper money is usually quite annoying. Like, if you play Power Grid, for example, I mean, that's a great game. It looks like it's from the 60s, but it's a really great game, but it has paper money. It's quite annoying. Thing is, in Ponzi Scheme, it serves a purpose.
Yeah, it's pretty fundamental. So Ponzi Scheme is a game about buying and trading shares. And in its simplest form, you will buy a share, and when you say buy a share, you basically take a share, and then you take a loan out. And you do that, you don't have to do that every round, but generally you'll be doing that every round. And the beauty about this game is that you take this loan out, you get the cash, and then you put this loan onto your little clock, which is a little dial that sits in front of you, and that tells you when you've got to pay back the money. And the card will tell you how much money you need to pay back. The really interesting aspect about this game is you don't really make money from anything else in this game other than taking loans out. So what generally tends to happen is, as that clock turns around a little later and you think, well, I need to pay back $15 for that loan, I'll take out another loan that's worth $20 and then I'll put that on there. And then what happens is, of course, that stacks. So once you've paid off a loan, it doesn't get cleared. No, that's the interest for this month, for this year. You then move that card further round and will probably have to borrow more money to pay off the loans for the money you've already got. There's some other intricacies in there, like you can buy luxury goods at one point, which are worth points at the end of the game. And there are bear loans that when they come out, if too many of them come out, it crashes the market. But generally, they've got ridiculously high interest rates, but they're very high value, so you're very tempted to take them. Now, this on its own would make for an intriguing game, but then it's got this interesting trading mechanism. So you've bought shares in one of, I think it's 5 companies or 4 companies. 4 companies. And during the game, you can trade shares with other players. And the way you do this is you both have to own the share in this company, and you quite literally slide a brown envelope across the table. It's actually a little faux leather case to the other player with some cash inside and say, I'm offering that for your share in that company. And that player can either accept that offer or can double the money in it, hand the brown paid envelope back to you, and then you have to sell your share for the money they've put in doubling it. And this is the cleverest psychological game I think I've ever played in the board game, because pitching the price of that offer is so tactical. Like, if you bid too low, well, they're just going to double it and buy the share off you. And by the way, the shares, I think what's worth the points at the end of the game is if someone goes bust, the game ends. Anyone who goes bust at the end is out of the game. Then after that, you're scored based on your shares and luxury goods you've bought. And the shares are in
it's like a set
an
collection,
exponential.
isn't it?
So
Yeah.
set collection.
Yeah.
So one share on its own isn't worth much. It's left 1 point. But if you've got 4, 5 shares in the same company, it's worth 20 points. They're worth an awful lot. So you want lots of shares in the same company. And the psychological teasing, torturing, manipulation that tries to occur when this little envelope gets slid back and forth is genius. It's also genius when Sid looks at his clock and suddenly realises that he cannot borrow enough money in the 2 rounds that it's going to turn up where he's going to pay it back, even if 2 bear cards come up. And he realises that his entire financial system has come crashing down as he tries desperately to sell his shares, but you can't offer to sell your shares, you have to offer to buy them.
Making the same problem worse.
Yeah, because what everyone does is everyone realises that Sid's realised he hasn't got any money,
And
so
cue the
we'll
rinsing.
happily sell him more shares.
And then as the game's going round, Sid realises he's not the only one that's going to crash out on the same turn. And there's this circus of all of us trying to not crash out first. It is absolute genius, this game.
And that psychology of that trade, I think it's just genius because everyone's trying to work out, what do I want to get out of this? Do I want Sid to buy that share off Sid? In which case I need to offer him enough money that he's going to sell that share to me. Or do I want to make Sid bankrupt? So I don't want to put just enough money in there. He's tempted to double it because he wants the money, or he just wants the money to sell because he needs it. Oh, it's so clever. It really is.
I absolutely agree. It's brilliant, especially when, say, for example, Sid, just picking a name out of the air,
Random person, right?
person decides to make you an offer for a share, and you say yes or no, and he ends up buying your share. So what you can do then, because you're next in player turn order, you can offer him half as much for the same share.
I don't know who would have done that.
No, only a right arsehole would have done things like that. And then you've got it right when you get called a variety of pretty words.
It is a game that does create a pretty thick air of swear words.
It does, yeah.
It's a brilliant, brilliant game. I love it. I think
It
it's
really is
absolutely
good.
superb, very clever.
I think Fran from Bright Eyed Games went, you guys from Polyhedron Collider are going to love this game. And Fran, you were 100% correct.
Yep.
This is a Polyhedron Collider game through and through.
Oh, yes.
I think this is the kind of game where whenever all 4 of us meet up, maybe even 5 of us with John, we need to try and get another game of this in.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's not long, is it? It's about...
Half an hour.
Well,
it depends.
It could take longer, but Sid will have screwed up his maths.
Whoa. If I'm playing, it's going to be a very short game.
That is true, actually, to be fair, Roy. Yes.
We say this game is clever and it's genius and it's fun. And for me, it was a miasma of confusion. I mechanically understood this game. I could follow the rules. I could teach you how to play. I don't have a clue what to do to not mess it up.
I think you're playing it right.
No, I don't think I am.
No, he wasn't.
I think
No,
you
he
are.
wasn't. No.
If you overthink this game, you get it wrong. buy into it. Just absolutely buy into it. And
It wasn't that he got wrong, Sid.
Keep on going.
Sid was right. It was the psychology that he didn't really fully twig.
Oh, of the trading.
Yes.
Yeah,
I,
I
however,
just-
noticed the weakness and smelt blood.
But I think for me, I found this game decidedly unenjoyable. And the reason was that because as soon as somebody goes bankrupt, that ends the game. And I think I realised very early on that I'm going to go bankrupt and I'm going to end the game. And I'm going to end it really quickly. And that I felt then guilty that I'm ruining Sid and Andy's enjoyment. No, sorry, Steve and Andy's enjoyment. That you guys were getting really into it and having a lot of fun. And I'm like, I don't understand this. And I'm going to cause the end of the game and I'm going to lose. And I'm okay with losing. But then I felt guilty that the game would have gone on longer had I just understood the game more. And I think that kind of soured my experience of it just because I couldn't play. It's almost like a game of football or soccer, depending on where you are. Doesn't matter how good the strikers are. If I, the goalie, keep letting every goal in, I'm just ruining it for everybody else. And that's what I felt with this game. So I'm well up for playing, but we'll do one where I play and then I might just nip outside and do some social media while you guys have a proper game.
You see, I kind of get where you're coming from because I think the psychology of the brown envelope across the table is quite interesting because the more twattish the player on the receiving end is, like basically playing with us, the harder that psychology is. I think. I think we make it harder to read what we're going to do because we'll just dick each other off. We're just for a laugh, like Andy there. Buy a share off me and then buy it back for half the price. That is a full-on, first-class, card-carrying twat thing to do, right? But once you get that, you can use that to your own advantage.
Which I did.
She's got
three times.
You say that, but like Andy kept offering to buy shares off me for $1. And I was like,
yeah.
Well, I'm just going to double that and buy the share of you. And I was like, but
Yes, you are.
why wouldn't I do that? Because that giving me more shares and it's virtually cost me nothing. And I didn't understand what was going on. I was like, but what are you... It's like when you have to explain a joke to somebody and they still don't get it. And I was like, but I don't know why you did that. So how can I play this game when I don't understand your tactics at all? It's completely foreign. It seems to me...
I don't think Andy truly understood his tactics. I think that was the point.
Oh, Andy did. Andy absolutely did.
That's it. Yeah.
right.
So so for me, it was just like, no, I didn't enjoy it because I didn't get it. It was so obvious I didn't get it. And then I felt guilty because me not getting it was going to cause the game to end earlier and therefore ruin the fun of the game.
I would say we've played this several times now. It didn't end massively earlier compared to when the rest of us played
I
it.
think that might be because you guys felt guilty for playing with an absolute numpty. And we're like, we're just going to get Rory another turn.
When we played it when you weren't there, it didn't. It's not like it went on for another twice as long or another 2 hours. Yeah, this is a game where you're stacking. It's that stacking of glasses on top of each other kind of thing. Sooner or later, that entire bunch of glasses is going to come down. The entire pub's going to cheer.
Yep.
Yeah.
And all you want to be is not the person that put the last glass on. That's what this game is for me. Is just staying power. Don't f*** yourself up first. And if you do that, you're golden.
Yeah. I would say you guys clearly had so much fun playing this. And I'm sure it's a great game. I just don't understand it.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Well, the rest of us loved
The
this.
rest of you loved
and
it.
I'm itching to play this again.
Definitely.
So that's Ponzi Scheme from Bright Eyed Games. Right, there is definitely no segue here. We're going to do a little bit of a lane battle extravaganza now because we've ended up with 3 different lane battler games that we've all played. Not all played. Various people have played in various combinations. I will start with the first one, though, because I don't believe this game is out. I think it actually comes out this week as this podcast comes out, which is Gwent, which I believe is called Gwent, the Legendary Card Game, this version.
So that's a bold claim.
Yes, it's very bold, but this is an implementation of Gwent from the Witcher 3 video game. For those who have played The Witcher 3, they'll know what Gwent is. For those that haven't, it is a very simple lane attack style game, but not quite lane attack.
And not a county in
You
South
have-
Wales.
Well, yes and no. It's a game in which you'll have a deck of cards with various units on it and a couple of special effects. You'll draw 10 cards. That is your entire hand for the game. You can take a mulligan. But then you'll have 3 ranks, which is melee, ranged, and artillery, and you'll play cards these 3 ranks. Most of the cards you have will have to be played in a specific rank. And as you play, each card will have a strength up, and you total up your strength. The game is played over 3 rounds. It's best out of 3. And basically what happens is you play until someone passes. When they passes, you double check the totting up. Whoever had the most points wins that round. Now, the interesting thing about this is you don't refresh any cards. So your cards you started with the game with are what you're going to have for all 2 to 3 rounds. So there's a very careful balance of when you play your cards. Do you want to go all in to win the first round, but knowing that you might not have the cards for the second round? Do you want to keep them for the second round and maybe keep some back for a third round? Or do you want to go all in on the second round? Base the strategies here. There's also some special effects cards you can play, most of which are weather. So like frost will damage people in a row, or you have a leader which has an ability who might do something like, this leader doubles the attack of everything in the archery row. Now, where I find this interesting is there are in fact 2 versions of Gwent in video game form. One is the one that appears in Witcher 3, and then there is a standalone version of Gwent. And then there is the Thronebreaker, which is another RPG set in the Witcher 3 world, which uses Gwent as its combat mechanism. And the version of Gwent that's in the standalone version of the game is different to this version, because there's 2 ranks and you draw cards between rounds. And what I find confusing is the artwork for the Gwent, the legendary card game, is the same artwork for the standalone video game, which is a different game.
Yep.
What?
Yes.
What did you think of it, Steve?
And I'm going to leave that sigh in. I usually edit the poor silence out. It is Gwent from Witcher 3. I've played Witcher 3. I haven't finished it, but I put about 60 hours into it. I didn't play much Gwent because I thought it was just okay.
Interesting. Because that's there's a lot of people that won't play Witcher 3 but will play Gwent in Witcher 3.
Yeah.
So you're the opposite.
I'm the opposite. I didn't find it appealing in Witcher, and I find, and annoyingly, I much prefer the version of Gwent which is in standalone video game and in Thronebreaker, because that whole thing, if you draw 3 cards at the end of a round. Whereas now you've got your hand at the beginning of the game determines the entire game effectively. No, it's a quick game. Even 3 rounds, it's
10, 15 minutes. Yeah,
tops.
max.
It's a really, really quick game. But yeah, I was a bit on the back foot because of what version of this game was. I don't think it's very deep.
Nope.
And I think that's what a lot of people are going to like about it, because
Yep.
it is very quick to play.
Yep. You're looking at one of them right now.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm a bit meh on it, I'm afraid.
That's fine. You be meh on it. I love it.
Yeah.
Do you? Oh,
I
right, okay.
absolutely loved it. I loved it for all the reasons you dislike. Oh, not, sorry, the reasons you're meh about it.
Okay.
I love the speed of it. I
Yeah.
love the fact that you can get completely dicked by your draw of 10 cards. And I love the fact that you've got a deck and you're pulling 10 out of it, and that's it. You put that shit away and you play. You go, and if you get it, if you're unlucky, you lose. But you know what? So what? You've only lost 10 minutes of your life. Maybe 10 minutes, probably 5, because you've screwed it before that point. You just refresh and go again. I really liked it. I liked everything about it.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
And that lack of depth you talk about, I think, is one of the main reasons I like it, because it appeals to I hate my console updating a game just before I want to play it and losing my 10-minute window that I was allowed to play that game to updates. Right? And that is my lasting memory of Witcher 3 era games. I hated it. I hated the fact you didn't have background update, the fact that I only got 10, 20 minutes to play on that console, and I lost 15 of them to the thing updating. So this, the fact I can take it out of the box, I can sit down with Sue, I can learn it, and I can play it all within 15 to 20 minutes is fantastic.
I might have to give this a try, actually. I quite like the sound of Sid's enthusiasm for this. I quite like the idea of a game that I can just bash out in 10, 15 minutes.
I love... Yeah, sorry.
The game comes with, I think, 6 different, not even decks, 6 different factions.
Yes.
And you make faction decks. And there is a recommended starter deck for each of the factions so you can play the game. But then after that, you just make whatever decks you want out of the factions. And I think it's like 60 or 80 cards for each faction.
It's a big stack.
Oh, wow.
It's a big stack of
massive
cards.
stack of
So you've
cards.
got a lot of exploration to do to build that deck.
There's a lot of tweaking that can be done.
And I think that, for me, is a really clever bit, is that you can play it really simply and really quick, like we've just described, which is take that starter stack, and it's a good mix of cards. There are some... We haven't really talked about how... The fact you've only got 10 cards in your hands doesn't mean you're only going to ever play 10 cards, because some of the cards will summon other cards from the deck. So like you'll play like a vampire or something like that, and suddenly you'll have to rake through the rest of your hand or your deck to pull out the rest of your vampires, and suddenly there'll be like 10 cards on your line, and you can total them all up. So I think that's really clever, and I think that once you get used to the game, once you learn the game and learn the card abilities, you'll be building your own decks, and you'll be working different synergies between different cards that summon other cards and all that kind of mischief that happens. But if you don't want all that grief and hassle, you just play with your set deck, and off you go, and you have a great time.
No, I think I'm gonna have to play this. This does sound like. Do you know what, when we did the Board Game Geek 100 challenge, we played Netrunner, and that aspect of you've got this big deck of cards, and you're going to make your kind of. I had a little itch to play something like that, and this sounds like it might scratch that itch for me. Exploring, finding those synergies within this big deck to make my own smaller one to then only get 10 cards and have a punt.
And I think
in 10,
that's
15.
where
I like the idea of this.
That creation of your deck, I think, is the depth that, Steve, you're right, isn't there when you play just the preset starter deck. Because but that's the challenge of a deck builder, is knowing that stack of cards, knowing which cards work together, working out what kind of play style you want on that playthrough. Like, you could just double down to everything with siege weapons and see how you get on. It's going to be a disaster, but it could be a really funny way of playing the game.
Yeah.
But I think that's the things you can really play differently, and all you need is a bit of bad weather that comes out, and suddenly all your siege weaponry is irrelevant, because you can't, like, it's raining or something, I think is one of the ones, isn't it? And you can't then fire siege weaponry. So I really liked it. And do you know what? I thought the theming on it was really good. I thought they pulled through all the stuff you want from a Witcher. So if you're a Witcher fan, and you like Gwent, the Gwent in Witcher 3, this is your kind of jam.
I mean, I do have to give it 5 stars just for the Roach card.
Oh, the Roach card is awesome.
Because for those that don't know, Roach is the Witcher's is Geralt's horse. Roach, his trusted companion, and in the video game, it would often bug out, and you'd call Roach, and he'd be standing on top of a building.
Right.
Right, and the card for Roach is a picture of him standing on top of a building.
That's cool.
Nicely done.
So that's Gwent, the legendary card game, which I believe is being released very soon.
September, I believe.
September. I thought we'd throw in a couple of other similar games that we've played here. Because we've also played a game called... Well, me and Andy played a game called Compile.
Yes.
Which is very similar in that it is a very quick 2-player game, which is just basically play a card and off you go. And in this game, you're hackers, I believe, in an AI world, trying to compile 3 bits of software. But what you do is you draft basically 3 sub-decks.
Yes.
And put these into your hand. And each of these decks have a theme. It's basically a little bit about how they play. And then what you're trying to do is you've got 3 lanes, and you are trying to just play cards with numbers to that lane, and when those numbers exceed a certain number, and I can't remember which number it is,
10,
and exceeds what your opponents have, yeah, I think it's 10, then you've compiled your flip, and both people clear that column. That is it. Just like Gwent was just play a
Wow.
card. This is that. Where this game gets really interesting is cards can be played either way up. So if you play the card face up, it can only go in the column that matches the software that you're trying to compile, but you can play it face down. The face down worth is always worth 2, and that card can go in any stack. What's also interesting is each card has got 3 quick bits of text on them, which is like when the card gets revealed, this happens. This effect stays until it gets, and then 2 effects which stay until it gets covered. Usually the second one happens at the end of the round. So what happens is you play cards on top of each other, which covers up the effects of the cards underneath. And where the game gets fascinating is where card effects change things on the board by flipping cards or moving their columns. And depending on the deck you're doing, this can happen with either in your hand or against what your opponent's doing. So you might have a card that says flip a card in one of your columns. So you do. So you might have a 2 that you had played, and it flips over to a 6 that you wouldn't have normally been able to play unless it flipped. But your opponent could have something that says flip an opponent's card. So they've turned that 6 back down into a 2.
It's very clever.
And it's very clever, and it's all about that manipulation. And it's really tight as well. Again, 20 minutes, half an hour tops.
If that, yeah.
for a
It's
game.
I
really,
like
really
the sound
good.
of this actually as well.
Yeah.
It's good. I think the strength of the game for me, I mean, I've only played it the once, but... And I have to say, I wasn't sure how I felt about it when I finished playing it, because Laura asked me that, because we played it, and she said, what do you think of it? I was like, I'm not sure. But the more I've thought about it, I think the strength of the game really lies in the synergy, really, between the 3 decks that you have. Because, as Steve says, every deck is a very specific type of power. They're not all the same. Every card is very, very different. But like one deck might be, the strength of it will be revealed. The strength of it comes from, say, discarding cards. You know, you'll discard 2 cards and it will allow you to do something powerful. So you have to rifle through the deck pretty quickly. But there'll be another sort of deck that you've got that allows you, that will be very, very good at, say, attacking. But you have to play them in a very specific way. So it's quite restrictive. So what you've got to try and do is play the 3 decks off each other and try and sort of build some kind of engine that uses all 3 of those powers in a positive way. And I think that's where the skill comes from, and that's where the game really comes together, when you realise that you can't just rely on one, because you've got 3 decks essentially shuffled together, so you don't know what you're going to get. So you can't just, I'm just going to focus on the fire skills or the night skills or the light skills or whatever it is. You've got to use all 3 and work out where each one of them would be best placed and when. And I think that's the strength of it. It's easy to play, hard to master, which is a good thing, I think. Although the rulebook is bloody awful.
Well, I didn't have to do that. Somebody else taught me the game.
Oh, you're all right, yeah, because it is. I think I'm guessing that the designer of the game is not a native English speaker, because the phraseology in the rule, I'm going to say booklet sheet, could be improved. But once you've deciphered it, it's actually, as Steve says, it is literally play card, do thing on card. That's it.
It's really quite clever. Really interesting little game.
Yes.
Again, quick as well.
Oh yeah, 20 minutes, half hour tops, if that.
To round off this trilogy...
Yeah, let's talk about a lane battler that isn't played in 20 minutes.
No. We also played Burnt Moon, which is another lane battler, but this is an Undaunted lane battler.
Oh.
Now, if you've played any of the Undaunted games, this is the Undaunted quite literally distilled into a card game. And I mean, it is Undaunted. There's no other way of describing this. It is exactly the same game, but rather than moving troops around the board, just like in Compile, where you have 3 columns, 3 bases which you're going to play cards to, in Undaunted you have 5 bases, I believe, and you have to control 3 of them to win the game. Is that right?
I think so. Yes. Yeah, sounds right.
Yeah,
Something like that. And you do this by playing cards which will control a lane, have the most thing, and then you play a card which will flip it over and turn it over. And You can buy reinforcements, and people could attack you. And when you attack cards, it takes cards out of your deck or your hand.
It has the exact damage mechanism that Undaunted has.
Yep.
So you go through what's in your hand, what's in your discard, what's in your deck. If not, then it's off the table.
And you've got A's and B's, so you've got a set of A, because it's set in Callisto universe of Undaunted Callisto, and it's not supposed to be actual troops. So what you're supposed to be mimicking is drone attacks here.
Yeah.
So you're not using troops on the ground. You're using drones of various types, and it has the same A/B squad system as well. So whereas like Compile, you couldn't put a card onto the wrong column. On Niche, if you want your A drone to attack, you have to play an A attack card.
Yeah.
Which is the bit I find the most frustrating about all Undaunted games, because you can guarantee that when I'm in the perfect position to attack, I will not have the right card in my hand to attack with.
Yep.
I like to think of Burnt Moon like Undaunted Callisto 2200, whatever the hell it's called, with all the foreplay cut out.
Do you not enjoy the foreplay of Callisto?
I loved Callisto, right? I absolutely loved it, and I loved that it was my first.
But you just wanted to get busy with the jackhammering. Yeah.
I just wanted to get in and pump something, right? And right.
But I see what you mean. But
and do you know what I mean? Callisto, right? Callisto, because you've got all that map. You have to traverse this map. It's
more of a war game. So you've got that strategy and pincer movements and sweeps, and of course, as Steve said, you've got to have the card to do the thing, to move the thing.
No, strategy would imply that you had agency in the cards you pull. You don't. You have agency in pulling a deck together that might, at the random fucking moment, give you the damn card you need to move the right distance of the right mech. That is annoying. Callisto, or Burnt Moon, sorry, goes, now f*** all that off, and don't worry about moving across the board. You're there, yes, just play. Just play and have your fight. It skips to the end. I like it for that.
It is a lot
sounds
more
like
immediate.
that one level of Call of Duty where you get to pilot a drone and just bomb the shit out of your enemy.
It's basically it. But it takes away, to me, it just takes away the faff of the strategic movement and nonsense that you have to do in the rest of it.
I wouldn't call it faff. That's what Undaunted is. It's a strategic war game, and this is it's not. I have umbrage with the faff. It gets
in the way of the fun bits.
Yes,
it really does. It does get in the way of the fun, and you. It's because you don't have the agency of knowing you're going to be able to move when you need to move.
See, I think
at least
for me,
with a yeah, go on.
I know. I was going to say, I feel like I do have agency because I deal with that as a deck builder. I was quite good at and with Burnt Moon, I'm quite good at building my deck to be able to power through to do the thing I want to do. Yes, there's still that random element of drawing the card, but I know that I've stacked the deck in my favour to be able to. I'll attack this round, and I know if I'm going to attack or I'm going to take a control this round as well, or if I've done an attack this round, I'm definitely going to do a control next round because that card has to be coming through. Because I'm quite good at cycling my deck quite quickly in that. I think I really like the Undaunted games just really resonated with me. So I feel I've got agency because I feel like I've controlled it that way. But I can absolutely see why, as Steve said, you're in the prime position to do the thing. You go, I'm going to attack. You go, sorry, Steve, that's a B unit. You need an A. Oh,
I think what we've established is that Sid is quite simple.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Which is why I want to skip the foreplay and get to the end, the fun bit, right? I just think this Burnt Moon for me. I loved Callisto. Don't get me wrong. I'm being a bit down on it purely because I found something better.
Yeah,
that's basically the reason I'm down on it, because Burnt Moon for me just took all the bits I loved about Callisto and Dr. Callisto, and it took them out and it presented them to me on this beautiful platter with a fantastically gorgeous hot pink box with lovely artwork and card, and we bashed through that game when you and I played it, and it was fun.
It was fun, and it was gripping, and it was dynamic,
and it kept going.
And it went on for about an hour.
There's loads of interaction. We were constantly each other's grill, which I didn't find we got with the non-lane battle one, the original. Let's call it the original. And it took us a lot longer of trying to just traverse the board, and it just felt slower.
Yeah.
Which is sometimes what you want, but I had a much better experience with Line of Fire.
Wow. I mean, that's a big thing, considering how much you loved Undaunted Callisto.
I loved it. And that's what I mean.
You're basically saying Burnt Moon is that experience, but better.
In my opinion, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Sid nailed
that's
on the
because-
head there is
yeah.
that Burnt Moon is Undaunted Callisto distilled to all of the exciting fun bits.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what I love about it.
Well,
Yeah.
ringing endorsement
Can't
there.
really say anything more about it, can we?
But based on what you've just said, Sid, about Gwent and Undaunted, Burnt Moon, I think you need to go play Compile.
You do.
It sounds like I do. It sounds
Because
like
I think you'll love that as well.
Yeah. It appears that I am in a bit of a lane battler kind of mood at the moment. And it might just be that I'm in for 20-minute games at the moment.
Could be. Well, we have been going on for longer than 20 minutes.
And by Christ does it feel it, I'm sure.
So, with all the lanes chock-a-block, let's call an end to this podcast. That's the best segue I've done all episode.
The only segue you've done all episode.
Still the best.
And coincidentally the worst as well.
That is unfortunate. So, thank you very much for listening, everyone. We have been Polyhedron Collider. Please give us a review on iTunes or your podcast platform of choice. And don't forget to find us all over the socials, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Board Game Geek Guild 2726, and of course, join us on the Discord server. Please send us your hashtag Ramshackle suggestions. We're really open to them. And also, don't forget, we did mention last week the Puzzle Cube dice are back in stock. There's a link to them in the show notes. So yeah,
I'd forgotten about that. Nice one.
Yeah, nice juicy discount on them. Until next time, happy gaming.
Ta-ra.
Cheerio.
Bye-bye. Feels better to having the gaffer back in charge.
Oh, it's so much better, isn't it?
Oh, well, you two bunch of
it's
monkeys.
Circus, Stephen. You weren't here. Didn't know what was. We didn't know which way
It's
up
not
was.
difficult.
Yeah, right. You try doing it without you around.